So you're big, you're strong, you've been around the block a time or two. Nothing, absolutely nothing can scare you. Except that one thing. That one thing that you really hoped that no one would really find out about it. And I'm really sorry that you had to find out this way, but everybody knows. Maybe next time, don't tell secrets to Darrick. It's been a while, but it's time for us to do another video game review. This time we have Inside the Labs, which is currently a game that's on early release on the Steam store. The premise of this game is that you are an explorer looking around to try to figure out what happened within certain laboratories about the experiments that were done on people. In each one of these labs, some sort of mutation has occurred, and it's your job to not only handle several different tasks, but it's also your job to figure out exactly what type of mutation has occurred. It's scary, it's creepy, it's incredibly immersive, so let's dig into this just a little bit. One of the first things that you'll notice about this game is that it supports both single player and multiplayer versions of the game. In multiplayer, you can get together with up to 3 other people as you cooperatively complete objectives and then ultimately still work together to solve what kind of mutation this is. But I've been holding back from trying to get my buddies interested in playing this game, so I'm only talking about the single player version so far. When setting up your game, you have multiple different options. The first thing you have to figure out is which lab you would like to play in. There's the Shadowbrooks Laboratory, the Old Town Laboratory, and the Westwood Laboratory. And if you honestly don't care which one you want, you can always pick the random lab. Then there are 3 different difficulty settings, easy, normal, and hard, and then you could choose your character, and you get to unlock more characters the higher level you get in the game. And you gain those levels by playing and completing the required objectives. As you begin to load into your lab, you are given your list of objectives that you have to complete. There's always an identify mutation, but everything else changes from game to game. Once you're in, you gotta look around. You'll find your starting equipment, which will include the main door key, usually some sort of support item, in this case, an energy drink. There's a radio you can play messages on. And then if you press 2, you'll get your flashlight and you can begin looking around, seeing if there's anything else laying on the floor. Like over here is another energy drink. Once you've got all of your starting equipment picked up, it's time to enter the lab. If you're having trouble remembering what the objectives are or how to accomplish them, you simply have to hit the tab button, and then you have your list of objectives right there. And then you can see what objectives that you have to figure out and what the progress is on those objectives. And in like manner, you also have a mutant tab that allows you to hover over each one of the mutants, giving you an idea of what to expect from them, along with a brief and some traits that you might find to help you identify these mutants. If you need a reminder on how to accomplish the objectives, all you have to do is click on the tutorial icon, and it gives you an idea of how to play the game. Turn a couple of pages and you'll start seeing how it'll let you know what you need to do to accomplish these tasks. Like here, you can see what it takes to be able to figure out how to hack laboratory data. Now that you have your feet wet and you're ready to start figuring out what's going on, just walk into the lab and begin trying to get all the evidence and everything that you can find. But watch out for those creepy crawlies that are all over the ground. They like to sneak up on you and hurt you and scare you and do all the things that you would find in a horror game. In all honesty, the gameplay really reminds me of something like Phasmophobia. But here the difference being that you only have a few pieces of equipment to use, and you're looking for a mutant instead of ghosts. But for now, this game is in early access and active development. So there are some things that you would expect from a fully developed game from a studio that has more than just 2 people working on it that just simply isn't there. However, the game is incredibly immersive, especially if you're playing like I do with a set of noise canceling headphones. The sounds and the soundtrack just make you feel like you're walking through a laboratory. While the graphics of this game certainly aren't the best, it makes up for it by being immersive and scary. The assets in the game have definitely grown over time, but you could still tell that they're still kind of a generic scary game. Plus you have this generic monster type asset that is the placeholder for all mutants in the game. However, one thing that I did find that I really enjoyed was the organisms that you have to go through and disinfect. I think those were a really cool addition to the game. As I said, the best way to play this game is with a nice set of noise canceling headphones on, which I would argue is really the only way to play this game. The surrounding effects really just help you feel the sense of dread and fear that is really all around you. Without that experience, this game really wouldn't be as entertaining as it is. There are some places where as you're walking, you'll hear things drop, like a lamp off of the ceiling, and it'll break and cause you to kind of jump and look over in that direction. It definitely causes you to shift around and look and see what's going on. It's almost always nothing from my experience, but that's because the audio is the way it is. As I've already mentioned, this game is very similar to Phasmophobia. The gameplay loop is actually very much the same, where you enter an area, you explore to discover what thing inhabits the area, and you have to use process of elimination from evidence you receive to determine, is that the right thing? And you actually do better if you successfully guess the right thing in the area. Inside the Labs is definitely not as fleshed out as Phasmophobia. One strong case in point is I think the tutorial needs a lot more work. In Phasmophobia, you get to actually touch each piece of equipment and get led by the hand to discover how they all work in order to get the evidence you need to determine what spirit is haunting the area. Inside the Labs, all you have is a text-based prompt that just says, do this thing. I know it's a really small thing, and once you understand how the game works, it really doesn't matter, but unfortunately the tutorial is really where your entry point is and where new characters get onboarded. So having a tutorial like this really doesn't help a lot of players learn how to actually play the game. All things considered, I found that I really enjoyed playing this game, and I look forward to the time that I get to play with some other people as well. I certainly really appreciated the immersion and the sound quality and even the gameplay loop itself. Even though I found it to be very similar to Phasmophobia, I still enjoyed playing inside the lab. I think this game has a lot of room to grow, and I'm really excited to see more. Version 0.1.6 was just released this week. The developers also recently published what they think is their path to a full release of this game. So I'm expecting this game to continue to get better and better in the months to come, and I expect to fully be making more review videos about this game as more updates happen. Keep a lookout on the channel because once I am done with the Prey streams, I'm going to start streaming this game a couple of times a month as well. But certainly make sure that you go to the Steam store and pick up a copy for yourself. It's only $5, and honestly, it's a great purchase. If you end up grabbing yourself a copy, make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know that you got one. And if you didn't, or you don't want to do that, or you still want to leave some sort of comment, just make sure you leave a big old Tato in the comments down below. And with that, I will catch you in the next video.